There has never been a show like Cyberpunk Edgerunners. It brought back to life a AAA game that, despite all of its messages of the evils of capitalism, was in many ways ruined by being rushed out of the door by greedy corporate interests. Sure, its problems were later fixed, but by then the hype around it died out. Such a shame. A game series like this had such potential, with so many people waiting for it to come out. Wait, actually, how long have people been waiting for it to come out? Holy crap, you chooms have been waiting 8 years for this, and it sucked too. Well, okay, I'm being a little hyperbolic, but come release day, it seemed almost as buggy as Fallout 76. Fans were disappointed. People wanted their money back. Like, bro, they spent 8 years on this crap. You think they could have afforded a bottle of Raid or something? But Duke Nukem Forever did it, so I guess anything's possible. It sucks because most of the hype for the game died before it could be polished up and properly enjoyed. Like, imagine you're about to have a 4-course meal at a nice restaurant and then they hit you with the appetizer. You know what I'm saying? Like, people had so much wind in their sails for the series, and the developers were trying to patch the ship up before it sank into a sea of disappointed and apathetic fans. People moved on real quick, bro, especially when Elden Ring came along. Nah, the shit was done when my boy John Eater rolled up and... Damn, bro, he really do that? And then Zelda Tears of the Kingdom came along, so you know any attention Cyberpunk would have gotten burned up when people started simping for the main cast. Anyway, Cyberpunk was on life support at this point. Like, those advertisers were going hard trying to pull people's interest back into a dying game. Thankfully, CD Projekt Red actually listened to the feedback they were getting and started racing to fix the bugs in their game. They had the devs rolling hard like Cyberpunk had a Trauma Team premium subscription or something. And it still wasn't enough. You know, actually, I wonder if this is going to be common practice. Like, oh no, sales of our game went to shit. Better make a hit series TV show while we hire someone to fix the game. It's possible, given how many video game companies are always trying to rush games out in time for Christmas on some we'll fix it later type shit. Like, just give me a lump of coal instead, son. Now, if you haven't seen Cyberpunk Edgerunners, then go watch it. Bro, why did you click on this video? I'm about to hit you with some spoilers. There's a lot of death in Cyberpunk Edgerunner. You see a cyber psycho getting wasted in the first scene, but not as hard as David's mom, though. Just goes to show you no one in the main cast is safe. Like, look how they did my boy Pillar. You know after that, the audience was on edge waiting to see who got iced next. Which brings us to Miles. Miles was holding the whole crew together. Like, you took one look at him and knew he was packing some serious chrome. Even though he had cool factor and spades, guy was definitely off his meds for half the show. Mans kept chroming up, then had a psychotic breakdown when his girlfriend died. David comes in and Miles is just like, nah, little man, you on your own. Then lights the whole building, killing everyone but David. Oh, and also the Fortnite reskin of Lucy dies, and usually when a member of the cast dies, it's supposed to be tragic, but all I gotta say is, based. We end up thinking Lucy is going to die too when she ends up getting captured by Adam Smasher, but David gets mad and shit starts popping off. See, David goes the whole series thinking he's built different, and then Adam hits him up, starts embarrassing him, and in the process whacks Rebecca for good measure. I know for a fact that Rebecca is a lot of people's favorite, so seeing her post-impact dead with parts of her brain splattered on the pavement had to be horrifying. The fight finishes with Smasher pointing a gun at presumably David's head, the camera pans up and Adam fires something. So it seems pretty cut and dry that they're both deader than Illuminati's career. But if the Cyberpunk series has taught us anything, it's that death has lots of room for interpretation. Sure, the intro implies David gets shot in the head, but the figure doing it doesn't look like Adam Smasher. We already saw from the series intro that foreshadowing is done in spades. So it turns out that David's story was destined to end with a shot to the head after all. Just not from Smasher. Peep the intro one more time. Like, who the fuck is that? That's not Adam Smasher, bro. Adam Smasher walks around butt-ass naked, chrome butt cheeks exposed for all to see. The only thing you're gonna catch him wearing are black Air Forces and a Yankee with no brim. Jokes aside, the dude who will finally waste David isn't Adam. The clothes, or lack of clothes, are wrong. The head shape's off. Even the gun is completely off. Like, these aren't nitpicks. Bro looks closer to OJ than Adam Smasher. So I don't think it makes sense to take the gunshot to the head literally, of which we never see the aftermath. But not take the intro on what happened literally when we can see what happens to David right there. Rewinding a bit, we gotta look at motives. Arasaka got mountains of testing data from David's fight with their goons. Like, I'm sorry, but David caught them all lacking, bro. Like, look at this. Look at it, bro. David was a beast. He probably was one of the few people in the world who could pilot the cyber skeleton like that. Arasaka had every reason not to let this go to waste. They've been wanting David as an unwilling test subject for a minute now, and now that they have him right where they want him, no way they're letting him go to waste. I mean, it's not like they don't already have a history of doing that. Remember our boy Adam Smasher? He wasn't always looking like old RoboCop Jr. In fact, he was just a baseline human with a few mods, until he got turned into meatloaf and an explosive finish. Apparently the damage was so bad that his buddies had to backpack what was left of him, which wasn't much, and get that to the hospital, where a mysterious corporate benefactor took note and made him the classic offer he couldn't refuse: corporate service in a metal coffin, or death. And Adam wasn't even that special at the time. Like, he had his own exploits, but he wasn't running around looking like some medical anomaly. Yet still, corporate interests took enough interest in him to save him from the grave and use him for their own devices. Human resources are valuable in this setting, and I'm not just talking about Karen and HR. Look at the bounty they put on Lucy, or just her whole backstory, for example. Corporations in Cyberpunk will pour endless volumes of resources into securing and retaining anyone who has a mind or body of extreme value. And no one in Edgerunners had more value than David. So I don't think Adam blasted David's head apart. There are two ways I think this could have gone. Rebecca ends up in an area somewhere in the underground, and if you look at the screen, you can see large debris strewn pretty much everywhere. Also, peep the next scene. That beam of light made from Adam and Rebecca's brief tryst is pretty far away. Maybe that's just another hole caused by the debris, but the zoomed out camera angle implies Adam crossed a decent amount of distance from Rebecca before he got to David. Keep both of these things in mind for later. He just punches Woody over here when we know he could have easily killed him. Deals with Lucy's hacking attempt, gets distracted much by Lucy being rescued, and then goes apeshit on David and has a really long monologue about how amazing he is. By this point, Lucy's far off and gone, actually. This establishes a lot. To start off with, it shows us that he was a decent distance away from Rebecca and remained so until at least killing David. There's a ton of debris, obstacles, and maybe even still some smoke between him and Rebecca, making him way less likely to notice, pay attention, or think about any activity around her body. His attention is seriously divided, and he's inconsistent about finishing everyone off, especially when he's pissed off. There is plenty of time and opportunity for a trauma team squad to just sneak in there and recover her, or at the bare minimum, her head and brains. Hey, they might just try to run in real quick and Leroy Jenkins that shit. Canonically, from the comics, they are expected to put the patient's life above their own, so I could see one of them doing a mad dash to quickly get what they could of her and then run out before Adam actually maybe does notice them. But wait, I hear you saying, the whole sequence between Rebecca dying and David getting whacked took only about 3 minutes of screen time, and Trauma Platinum, the best possible version you can get, only guarantees a time of 3 to 5 minutes, so they would still be too late. While it's true that Trauma Team promises that time normally for Platinum members, that's actually to our benefit, because that range is taking into account the entirety of Night City. You might be around the outskirts and still need a medevac. Their fight took place near the center of the city, at Arasaka Tower. They probably had some vans on standby, especially given what was happening. I mean, we even see regular law enforcement somehow manage to make it there, so if 12 can, then Trauma Team can too. There undoubtedly were some Arasaka corps that got harmed in the chaos on top of everything too, just to top it off. And would you look at that, a vacant seat in an oncoming Trauma Team van just opened up, free of charge. Or alternatively, none of this is necessary and they could have just called Adam back before/after he does or doesn't kill David. And then Trauma Team could have got her shortly after, way before brain death sets in, assuming they haven't already overcame that is. This is 2077 we're talking about. We'll probably have figured out some way to revive someone from that in our own timeline by that date, so I really don't see a good argument for why they couldn't just get her a little bit afterwards. And now on to why I think Rebecca probably survived. And I know what you're thinking. This is just cope. All I have to say to that is, yes. Yeah. But cope can be true sometimes. So let's talk about Rebecca. Earlier we talked about how Adam Smasher got turned into a Krabby Patty and got brought back from the grave in a miraculous robotic body. By the way, this was in the 2000s. Why do I bring this up? Because of Rebecca. Remember, Adam got his entire body near mulched and was brought back to life with the technology of the time, almost a century before Rebecca got turned into that IHOP free pancake special. There is no way they didn't have the technology to recover her. The question is, would anyone? There's a couple of parties who could, but after watching the Cyberpunk show over and over again, you'll notice something. Rebecca never gets her shit rocked until meeting Adam. Okay, well, maybe not physically. Pretty sure her bro dying, like, that at least gave her some bad vibes, you know what I'm saying? Why is this important? Because David and Rebecca were getting wealthy quick, and while Mr. I'm special, I'm built different probably felt immortal, Rebecca saw her brother get clapped. She was brutally and unceremoniously reminded of her mortality and how dangerous this line of work is. So what would someone with death on the mind and credits for days and a high chance of catching some hands and some bullets do? Get some insurance. Nah, fuck that. Get a Trauma Team subscription. That premium shit too. We're not out here getting that bush care in Night City. And yeah, her body's damaged, but more importantly, her skull opened up and a decent portion of her brain matter came out. But the part that did come out seems to be mostly intact. Adam took a lot more damage, perhaps more, perhaps less than Rebecca did to his brain back in the early 2000s, and they were able to bring him back. A number of things could have happened, allowing for Trauma Team to collect Rebecca's chassis and bounce with it off screen. From the fight ending before they got there, or Adam just not giving a shit one way or another. I mean, Mr. None shall leave the slaughterhouse alive doesn't exactly have a good track record for paying attention to other things when he's pissed off and occupied. Or pissed off or occupied for that matter. Either way, the only people that can condemn David and Rebecca to death or life are the writers. But given how popular the characters were and still are, I think we'll be seeing these tunes again sooner than we think.